Scott Duncan. Happy New Year. It's good to be back for our first weather video of 2024, recorded on Tuesday, the 16th of January. And just a programming note, I'm a little bit rusty coming back to work like most of us. We're not doing videos every day this week. So we've got a special video today for 10 days out. No video tomorrow, Wednesday. Back again on Thursday with two videos, one for New Zealand only and one for Australia only. And that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back to a slightly better programming schedule. But let's get into it because there is a lot to talk about. We've got this massive block of high pressure around New Zealand. It's been very dry in many places for the first half of January in New Zealand. Not everyone though, there has been some rain around. And over in Australia, been plenty of rain and thunderstorms, especially down around Victoria over the last few days where there's been some flooding. But the high here, pretty much moving across the country. But there's a lot of variety at the moment, and you're going to see that over the next 10 days, just how much variety is going on at the moment. So let's have a look at rainfall. This is from this Thursday, 3 days of rain, over 200 millimeters possible here on the west coast. Most other places, though, not seeing a huge amount of wet weather. We will be seeing a few heavy falls just around the central part of the North Island, but rainfall totals in the north, not too big. That's some good news there for those still on holiday. Over in Australia, most of the rain is up here to the north, south of Darwin, sort of pretty much on the border of the Northern Territories and Western Australia. We're also seeing more thunderstorms and downpours, not as many of them, down here around New South Wales, Victoria, and even getting into dry parts of Tasmania, which is some good news. And that is the 3-day rainfall map from this morning in Australia, or 9 o'clock a.m. Over on the eastern side. Temperatures above 40 to 45 degrees in the red zone today, tomorrow, so pretty hot still across Western Australia. Just another day in the office. And let's have a look at the Wednesday setup here because you can see why it's hot. That's that windy easterly blowing for you, which was, by the way, the same forecast we ended on at Christmas time, with Perth being in this hot, windy setup. But let's have a look at what is going on big picture. We've got low pressure all up here to the north, from Darwin to Cairns, right across to Nandi and even over to Apia. Those are the places all with low pressure. And then, of course, this stubborn area of low pressure, which we've seen in the southeastern corner of Australia for some time. Now, because of the high crossing New Zealand at the moment, the airflow changes in the north, and believe it or not, the humidity is about to go up. We've had a little bit of a break in the humidity in the north over the last day or so, a little bit of a break. Few showers here around Coromandel Peninsula on Wednesday. Nothing too serious though. As we go through to Thursday, more rain on the west coast, a few more light showers for the Coromandel. Pretty mild though, northerly winds coming back in again. So overnight temperatures in Auckland and Coromandel and Northland up around 20 or the low 20s. So certainly great weather if you're sleeping outside in a tent or an awning. Across Australia though, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure. How's that El Nino going for you? But you know, you can have both. It's walking and chewing gum at the same time. El Nino is around. We're certainly seeing that with these big blocks of high pressure tracking along, especially the one that we've got just currently leaving us. But on top of that, another layer of wet weather. Now, remarkably, for those who are following us on Twitter or X, if you follow Hodaki Gulf Weather did a great update yesterday about the Tongan eruption. Some really good studies going on about this. The big eruption 2 years ago yesterday here in Tonga. And of course, that eruption pushed a lot of water into the atmosphere. Now that didn't fall back down again as rain. Some of you thought that. It didn't fall down as rain again. But what it's done is it's trapped that moisture high up in the stratosphere, and that's acting as a bit of a greenhouse effect. And so the planet has warmed 0.5 degree in 2 years as a result of that eruption here around Tonga. So no wonder we're seeing a little bit more in the way of oomph when it comes to rain, because El Nino usually drops it by a couple of degrees, and here we are going sort of one side's dropped and the other side's trying to lift it up again. So that may well explain some of the reasons why we're seeing so much rain and the extra warmth, because extra warmth in summer creates a lot of rain. Here we are on Friday set up. Now we've got a few showers in the north of the country, otherwise dry. Warm and humid, and more rain on the west coast. That's the low coming out of Tasmania, driving in that rain for you. Now by Saturday, low pressure up here in the tropics sort of merging and getting a little more organized, but we're still on the edge of high pressure. So northeasterlies, humid, bit of cloud around, and the west coast still has rain. And your airflow in the South Island, quite different. It's a westerly airflow coming from the Southern Ocean. By Sunday, this low here worth keeping an eye on because it just may deepen enough with the departing high to create a squash zone, a windy area of north to northeasterly winds and some heavy rain trapped here. So if you're going away camping Sunday, just keep an eye on that forecast. It might be a little blustery for putting up or taking down tents. And this may also turn into a tropical cyclone. One to keep an eye on. We've seen some modelling showing it come to New Zealand. Most of the modelling shows it going back to Australia. Why is there some confusion around it? Because without high pressure around, there's no high pressure here, they kind of track along like a spinning top. So this high, all the way down here, south of Perth, may be the saving grace for New Zealand, because notice how it's south of Perth here for Sunday. By Monday, it's almost in Tasmania. So it is zipping very quickly in towards the Tasman, and it may be just enough to come through and pierce between the two storms. Well, I shouldn't call them storms. This one may be, but this one doesn't look like one, but it may still produce some localized severe weather, some wind and rain, hot, humid weather, the red line showing that, but the high rushing in behind it may well be the thing that stops that low from coming down towards us. Because you notice here by Tuesday, it's no longer south of Perth, so it's moved rapidly from the Southern Ocean into the Tasman. If it does that, it will stop that low from coming into New Zealand. If it takes any longer, keep an eye on that low near New Caledonia, because it may drift closer towards New Zealand. But here on Tuesday of next week, it is a cooler southerly flow for us, while the red line drops down to Melbourne, showing heat and humidity heading down your way. In fact, by Wednesday, the red line goes down to Tasmania, places like Devonport, getting that warmer weather coming through. Now, the red line measures air thickness. So north of that, basically, it's hot and tropical. And you'll notice that when we get a cyclone coming down, that red line gets pulled with it. And the opposite happens with a southerly blast. You'll see the blue line here coming up, and that's a much cooler, drier airflow. So that's pretty close to New Zealand by Wednesday, but we're sandwiched between the two of them. That's quite normal. Thursday of next week, in comes a cold front for Tasmania, but we've got an easterly, a wet easterly coming in for Hawke's Bay. That could be good news for some of you who might need a little bit of rain now, actually, after a dry start to the year. And our final map for Friday of next week, it shows variety. And variety is a good thing for most farmers, not for every grower though, but for most farmers, they like variety. Heavy rain coming through here on the west coast. There'll be windy nor'westers that will lift temperatures up because it's cooler next week in the South Island, but by Friday night, you should be seeing a little more warmth. And in the North Island, still pretty warm, but those winds are coming in from all sorts of directions, and low pressure still up here in the tropics. Before I go, we've launched our brand new alerting app. It is free to download and has more weather data on it, more forecast data than NIWA and Met Service, who you both tax fund. And that is for free. But if you want the alerting feature, which we've built into it, that costs a bit of money, but you can have multiple locations, multiple alerts. You set the criteria based on the forecast. So I run a vineyard. I want to know when the temperature gets down to 3 degrees because that's getting into frost territory. That's what you can do with it. Or if you want to know when it's going to rain or wind because you're putting down sprays or you're painting or whatever, it's a professional app, and the free version, it is bigger than the one we had before for those who don't want to pay the money and don't want that alerting feature. We'll talk more about this in the weeks ahead. I just wanted to briefly mention it. Please do download it. Full details about the app you can find on our website on the homepage, weatherwatch.co.nz or ruralweather.co.nz. Thank you so much for the amazing feedback since we've launched it too. It's been absolutely fantastic. That is all from me. Great to be back, even if I'm feeling a bit rusty like most of us are doing the old come back to work thing. But like I say, only a couple videos this week. We're back again on Thursday. No video tomorrow, Wednesday or Friday. Next week though, more of a normal schedule. We'll have videos for 4 days across next week. No video next Friday though as well. That's all from me. Good to be back. We'll see you on Thursday.